Hello and welcome to another episode of The Losers Win Again. I am your host, Jacob Brown, and week 2 is underway. Yesterday we went over our results for week 1. It was a pretty decent week. Felt like we could have done better, but we're ready to attack this week 2 slate. We got cash and GPP lineups to look at, so let's do it. First thing I want to do is go over early Vegas odds. Something very important to do every week to prepare for constructing your lineups. Started off, we got the Patriots at Jets with a +3 for the Jets and a -3 for the Patriots. Patriots are favorites, and it's a 43 over-under. Not going to be a super big fan of this game. Like both of the defenses, we'll see where we go from there. Then we get to the Texans versus the Browns. Browns are 11.5 point favorites with a 48 over-under. Definitely going to be attacking some of the Browns' passing options and their running back options. Not very much interest in the Texans. Then we get to the Raiders, who just surprised the hell out of us last night against the Ravens. We got the Ravens at the Steelers. Steelers are favored by 6, but a 48 over-under. I really like the Steelers in this game. Definitely going to get to some Steelers options. Then we got the 49ers at the Eagles. 49ers are favored by 3, and it's a 48.5 point total. Like a little bit of options from both games. Going to have some value at the running back position with the 49ers. Jalen Hurts didn't get priced up very much after his big game against the Falcons, so something to look at as we prepare on for the week. Then we got the Broncos at the Jaguars. Broncos are favored by 6 points against the Jaguar team that just looked awful against the Texans, and I don't see much changing playing the Broncos. This over-under is at 44.5, and I definitely like some Broncos options. We saw some eye-popping statistics that we'll get to in a little bit, but definitely someone I'm interested in cash and GPPs. Then we move on to the Saints. -3 at Panthers, +3, over-under is 46. This is going to be an interesting game. Do you feel good about rostering both CMC and Alvin Kamara in one game? That's something we got to look at as we prepare for this week. The over-under 46. Decent stacking options. Not sure if we can get back to Jameis Winston again, who did very well for us last week at his price point. Definitely something to think about. Then we get on to the Bengals, and they're at Chicago playing the Bears with a 46 over-under. Bears are favored by 3. Bengals upset the Vikings last week. Overtime game. Definitely could see something similar happening here in Chicago. The Bengals looked very well. There's still cheap passing options on the slate. Something to look at as we're preparing for the week. Then you got the Rams favored against the Colts by 4 and a 47.5 over-under. Rams look interesting in week 1. Cooper Kupp had a great day. Robert Woods had a great day. Tyler Higbee had a great day. Something to look at as we head to week 1. Week 2. Wow, now we got the Falcons +13.5. Guys, they're huge underdogs in this game with the over-under of 52.5. Definitely want some options on the Buccaneers, passing options and running options. This is going to be an interesting one to figure out, and I got an idea that we'll talk about here in a little bit. The Vikings +4.5 at Arizona. Arizona's favored 4.5, and the over-under is 51. Look, guys, Kyler Murray, he's going to be a stacking option every week. Definitely going to have to get some options against this Minnesota team who we just saw get torched by Joe Burrow. So Very excited to play that. Cowboys at Chargers. Chargers are 3-point favorites and a 52.5 team point total. I really like the Chargers and the Cowboys. I think this will be the highest owned stacking options you'll see all week. Definitely some great options that we can get to here in a little bit. And the Titans at the Seahawks, the highest implied over-under of 53.5. Seahawks are favored by 6 against the Titans. This is a really good game, and I'm looking forward to playing this week on both sides. Titans look interesting. Seahawks look interesting. But let's go ahead and talk about these cash games. Just a quick reminder about cash game ticks. You want target 3x salary. You want a quarterback flexibility. You want game flow running backs. Deeper wideout statistics such as A-dot, look at that. And high floor players. And I think we got that with our cash lineup. So let's go ahead and start with our quarterback. At quarterback for cash games, I really like Justin Herbert this week. He's $6,800, and last week he completed 31 of 47 passes for 337 yards and a touchdown to go along with the interception and his Sunday win 20-16 over Washington. In week 1, Herbert was low owned due to the matchup. That's not going to be the case this week because they're at home playing the Cowboys, who we attacked every week last year. If we can expect 47 pass attempts from Herbert on a given week, this could be a week he exceeds that, and I want to be all over it. This game has a 52.5 over-under. Chargers are at home, and I'm ready to roster him for week 1 with great stacking options with Keenan Allen, Austin Ekeler, Mike Williams, and Jared Cook. Now we move on to running back, and Najee Harris just looks amazing at $6,300. His price did not change after having a little lackluster performance. He rushed 16 times for 45 yards and brought in 1 of 3 targets for 4 yards, and the Steelers' 23-16 win over the Bills on Sunday. And while Harris was a small disappointment in week 1 with no touchdowns, we saw great production from him with 16 carries, 3 receptions on 3 targets against a decent defense. That's not going to be the case this week as the Steelers are playing the Raiders. Poor rushing defense. I see him getting 20-plus touches this week with a high ceiling and a high floor, being 6-point favorites. Something to look at. Now we move on to David Montgomery. Now, I'm not too sure about this option. He kind of popped off for me at the price point. He rushed 16 times for 108 yards and a touchdown while hauling in his lone reception for 10 more yards in Sunday's 34-14 loss to the Rams. That's something pretty surprising right there. 34-14 loss, and he still rushed for 16 times and 108 yards. That's something to really look at. Altogether, he had 17 touches with his reception. This is a great price point against a poor Bengals defense. I like his upside. I feel like he can get 20-plus touches in this game. They're at home. They're favored by 3. Definitely something to keep an eye on, but not a stone-cold set decision just yet. Then we move on to Keenan Allen, $7,000. Allen caught 9 of his 13 targets for 100 yards in Sunday's 2016 win over Washington, and it looks to do even better against the Dallas Cowboys at this price. I think he's a smash play, great to pair with Herbert against the poor Dallas defense with a high point total of 52.5. Definitely someone we want to attack here, and he'll definitely be in my cash roster. It's just hard to get away from this price point. Then we got Antonio Brown at 6,000. Speaking of bad defenses, the Buccaneers are huge favorites at 13.5 with the 52.5 over-under against the poor defense with the Falcons. I like Brown in this one, especially after the week he had last week. Brown secured 5 of 7 targets for 121 yards and a touchdown, and the Buccaneers 31-29 win over the Cowboys on Thursday night. I feel like Brown is taking the lead of this wide receiver core, and I'll have pieces of this game. Also in this price point, who I found a little bit interesting was Cooper Kupp. They're at the same price. Definitely 2 options to have in the same price point there. You can go either way. Now we get to someone I'm not really sold on, but I saw the way the game went against Minnesota, and I really just want to speak on him, especially at this price point. AJ Green at 3,800. Caught 2 receptions for 25 yards on 6 targets at Tennessee on Sunday after a poor outing for Green. I feel like he will go a bit overlooked due to his 2 catches, but there's some upside as he had 6 targets. We can expect that in the coming weeks. That's a steal at this price, especially against the weak Vikings secondary. Now let's move on to Noah Fant at 4,200. Fant recorded 6 receptions on 8 targets for 62 yards in the Broncos' Week 1 victory against the Giants on Sunday. At this price, Fant is just way too cheap for this type of target share. Clearly Bridgewater's favorite passing option against a terrible Jags defense. I love this option. 8 targets for a tight end at this price point is just criminally underpriced. He didn't even score a touchdown last week. You can possibly see him doing that this week. And I think he's just a smash play. Someone else to look at in this price point would be Tyler Higbee at 4,100. He was the leader or the second in targets Sunday night against the Bears. He's only 4,100. That's a very decent price point if we're going to expect that type of target share. Then we move on to the flex. And in the flex, I have $7,800 Nick Chubb. Chubb carried the ball for 15 times for 83 yards and 2 touchdowns and caught both of his targets for 18 yards in Sunday's 33-29 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Loved what I saw from Chubb this week and love the opportunity he's going to get against the Texans defense at home this week. They're favored by 11.5 with an over-under of 48. This is a great cash game option. You get the big favors at home. 11.5 favorites. You got to get this guy. I mean, 7,800 is a little pricey for Nick Chubb, but he can get you there, I think. In this contest, the Texans, I don't think are going to be able to stop him. This isn't set in stone yet. We still got a lot of research to do for the week, but I really like Nick Chubb at this price point. And there you have it. This is my first look cash game lineup. You got Justin Herbert, Najee Harris, David Montgomery, Keenan Allen, Antonio Brown, AJ Green, Noah Fant, Nick Chubb. And I picked the Titans defense. They're like 2,200 this week. My idea on this is they're facing Seattle, who is going to drop back a lot, who's going to throw a lot. There's some sacking opportunities there. There's some interception options there. Not completely sold on it, but that's just what I got in mind as of right now. It's still early in the week. We got time to prepare and figure out which defenses we like. And before we go over GPPs, I just want to go over the tips again shortly. Draft the boomer bust quarterback at a high price. Create solid QB wide receiver stacks with a run back option. Focus on upside. Slot a high volume receiver in the flex. Draft some players with low ownership percentage ownership. Check Vegas odds for high over-unders, which we've already done. Look for high turnover defenses. The smaller the contest, the better. Hope you guys are following that advice. Make 150 lineups every week to get the best outcome. Find an optimizer you like. I use Draft Dashboard. I build my 150 lineups with them every week, and I just use like the top 5 or 6 that I like that project the highest, and I end up using those in my single entries, and that's profited out for me very well over the years. And just have a reliable database projection and ownership to go off of. I use ownership off of my source provider for my projections, and I also use the ownership off of Draft Dashboard. Definitely something you need to think about if you're wanting to take this very seriously. Okay, now let's move on to our first player at the quarterback position. We got Ryan Tannehill at the quarterback position at 6,300. I really want to make Ryan Tannehill a priority this week after a lackluster performance, completing 21 of 35 passes for 212 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception against the Cardinals on Sunday, while running for 17 yards and 1 touchdown. Look, point blank, this was a huge disappointment for fantasy players on Sunday. I'm willing to take a chance in saying that was a fluke. I still like his stacking options, and I'm willing to bet that they will come back out strong as they got another good opportunity against the Seahawks in Week 2. The high point total of 53.5. The highest point total as of right now is this game. Now we move on to Austin Ekeler at 7,300. Ekeler had a hamstring injury, but that was not an issue. He carried the ball 15 times for 57 yards and a touchdown in Sunday's 20-16 win over Washington. But the most surprising stat line is that he was not once targeted in the passing game, which is what he's most known for. I don't see that being the case for him heading into Week 2 against the Cowboys in a high point total game of 52.5. A game that we will be attacking. Ekeler just looks good at this price point. I really don't see him not catching a pass in this game. Definitely some good opportunities for him heading into Week 2. Now we get to an interesting pick here with Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette, 5,100. This is a great price point for Uncle Lenny. Being at home with a high over-under of 52.5 and being favored by 13.5, this will be an interesting tournament play due to the fact I believe everyone will be on the pass catchers for Tampa. Something else to get excited about is we finally have seen Fournette involved more in the passing game. Thursday night against the Cowboys, Fournette rushed 9 times for 32 yards and secured 5 of 7 targets for 27 yards in the Buccaneers' 31-29 win over the Cowboys. We love to see 5 to 7 targets from the running backs, and with them being heavy favorites, I believe we will see more carries from him as well. You can go a little different too. If you don't like Fournette and you want to take a chance on Ronald Jones, if you're playing more than one lineup, this is something that I would consider. I like both Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones is like 4,800. But Leonard Fournette's price sticks out to me this week, and I really like this opportunity for him. And he's someone I'm definitely consider rostering in Week 2. I move on to A.J. Brown, 6,900. I love the opportunity for a bounce-back game for the Titans, and I think Brown could lead the charge. Last week, he salvaged his fantasy day with 4 receptions for 49 yards and 1 touchdown on 8 targets against the Cardinals on Sunday. As of right now, this game has the highest over-under on the slate at 53.5, which we love for DFS purposes. Guys, I'm just excited about this game. I was really excited about the Cardinals-Titans game for Week 1, and the same goes for this game. I just hope it doesn't disappoint. I think these guys are going to be a little lower owned, due to the fact they disappointed so much last week. And that's just a great spot to jump on when you see that low ownership. As of right now, we don't have any ownership, but later in the week, we'll go over this again and see how we feel about it. And since this is a GPP lineup, we got a double stack. And with Ryan Tannehill and A.J. Brown, I want to double stack Julio Jones, 6,300. Overall, I didn't like what I saw from Jones in his first game as a Titan. Jones caught 3 receptions for 29 yards on 6 targets against the Cardinals. Not very good for the All-Pro, but this whole offense just had a bad outing, and I think they will bounce back. Still got 6 targets, which is something we like to see. He's a great stacking option for Ryan Tannehill, and I'm going to roll with him some in week 1. Now we move on to the possible best wide receiver value on the slate, and Cedric Wilson at 3,100. We expect him to see a similar workload as Gallup, who is way underpriced. He's a great 1v1 mini stack with Ekeler, as we expect the game to be high scoring with a lot of passing volume on the Dallas side. Guys, Michael Gallup's not playing this week, which means these passes got to go somewhere. And a lot of people think it's going to be Cedric Wilson. I'm one of those people. But if you don't feel comfortable about that, there's some other options here too. Don't forget about guys like Dalton Schultz, who could see some more targets with Michael Gallup not in the lineup. And also don't forget about Ezekiel Elliott, who could also gain some more targets from Michael Gallup not being here. But as of right now, first look lineup, Cedric Wilson pops out to me just because it's the price point. And Cedric Wilson could very well end up in my cash game lineup as well. Now we move on to Kyle Pitts at 5,200. While his rookie debut was a bit of a disappointment, I feel like this will be a prime spot to go back to him. 1, they have a high over-under of 52.5. 2, they're 13.5 point underdogs, which will suggest that there will be a lot of passing opportunities if they're down big. And lastly, he underperformed week 1 and went up in price, which suggests he won't be as high owned. Something to keep an eye on this week with ownership. And at the flex, we got DK Metcalf at 7,600. Metcalf had 4 receptions for 5 targets for 60 yards and a touchdown in Sunday's 28-16 win over the Colts. It was a great performance by Metcalf week 1. Expect the same here against the Titans and the highest over-under on the slate at 53.5. Great run back option for this Tennessee stack. You could also go with Tyler Lockett here or Chris Carson. But as of right now, DK is my favorite option. He's the most expensive option. Definitely something to keep an eye on as we're preparing for the rest of the week. And there you have it, guys. The first look GPP lineup for week 2. We got Ryan Tannehill, Austin Ekeler, Leonard Fournette, the stacking options of A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. Running it back with DK Metcalf, and then you got Cedric Wilson in a mini stack with Austin Ekeler, and then you got Leonard Fournette in a mini stack with Kyle Pitts, and we're going with the Jets defense here. Don't have a real great idea or opinions on the defenses as of right now. We'll get a better idea on that as we get further in the week. And there you have it, guys. First look, week 2 GPP lineup. We will not be coming out with a video tomorrow. We'll be dropping our top 5 stacks on Thursday, and then we'll have our player breakdown Friday, and then we'll have our final looks on Saturday. But if you like the video, like and subscribe, and If you have any comments, feel like I left someone out, or someone you like more, put it in the comments section. I'd be interested to see what you guys think. But yeah, it's week 2, guys. Let's get ready to cash. We'll see you next time.